What's up guys, it's Misha here, live from the Norwegian mountains. I've been on a road trip for over a month now and I've been sleeping in my van, but now I've rented this nice little cabin and it is actually time for me to start doing some upgrades on my Homelab cluster. So I'm gonna take you inside and I'm gonna show you how I do that from the mountains. So there's the van that this is my van that I've been sleeping in for the past month or so. And now I rented this cabin so I can get some serious work done. And I'm going to stay here for a week. And while I'm here, I'm getting back on some chores and some things that have been deprioritized for a while. So here's my remote working setup. It's just my framework laptop. I even forgot to bring my happy hacking keyboard and my mouse, so this is actually how I've been running my business and my life for the past month or so. So I'm gonna put you guys down here and then we can start the video. All right, so we are set up here and let's get going on this cluster upgrade. So my Homelab setup obviously is quite advanced. I am using a multi-cluster architecture. For example, I'm using a separate cluster for all of my databases. But the cluster that we're going to be upgrading today is Jotunheim. And that cluster is the cluster that contains all of my applications. So this cluster hasn't been updated for a while. We are currently at Talos version 1.12.6. and that is what we're going to be updating. So what you're seeing me use here is Sidero Omni. And as we are updating, I'm going to explain more about why I'm using this, why I chose to do it. But to get things started, you see that I have logged into Omni. This is how I can communicate with my clusters even from the Norwegian mountains. And all I have to do to start this upgrade is to go to my Talos version. And then I'm going to select first the latest patch version. So I'm currently on Talos version 1.12.6. Well, in order to upgrade to 1.13.7, I will actually need to upgrade to the latest patch version first. So I'm going to upgrade to 1.12.10 first, and then I can initiate the upgrade of the minor version. So I'm going to start this upgrade. And what this is going to do is it is going to update the machines one by one. So my cluster is a 4-node cluster. It is going to start with one of these at first. I'm wondering which one he is doing first. So we see that it started with the first machine here. And to understand a little bit about how this upgrade actually works is we have to also understand how Talos works. So Talos Linux, and one of the reasons why I like Talos Linux so much is because it runs as an immutable OS. So fundamentally what Omni is doing now, it's going through all of these nodes one by one. It is then draining the node and then it's downloading the new image version of the Talos OS. So it loads the new image and it just stores that on the disk, and then it will reboot and then it will attempt to start this new image. Now, if something were to go wrong during this upgrade, then Omni will simply recognize that and it will just roll back to the old image and then it will just reboot with the old version. And this is why I love Talos Linux so much and the immutable OS architecture. I'm doing the same on my laptop, by the way. Like my laptop is currently running Fedora Atomic Sway, which uses the same architecture. It uses the same concept of an image that is loaded and then you can switch back to it if something goes wrong. So we've already gone through one node. It is now upgrading the second node. And what you see in the logs is that it first downloads the image. It then stops the node, it drains it, puts all of the pods elsewhere in the cluster. And then when it reboots, it attempts to load the new image And then when all of that is loaded properly, it's joined into etcd again, and the node is starting. So now the task is actually, the node is actually rebooting right now. So if I do kget nodes in my Kubernetes cluster here, what we see is that we have 4 nodes, and one of them is now not ready, scheduling disabled, one of the control planes, and that one is now actually being rebooted, as we see. It is now back online already, health check successful, as we see. So it will take a few minutes for the static pods to come back up again on this node, but then when all of that is done, then it should be marked as ready. We see already that scheduling disabled has been taken away, so the node is uncordoned. Omni handles all of that automatically. So if I do watch kubectl get nodes, then we can actually see this status changing in real time. So it's still not ready, and we can see that it is still booting up. It's still setting up all of the components here. In this case, iSCSID is still waiting to come up. And now we see that the new static pods have come up, and if I check my kubectl output now, we see that the node is ready again. And then we will see it will move over to the next one. In this case, it is my worker node, my final worker node, because I'm running 3 control planes and 1 worker node so that the control planes can achieve quorum. So if I close this off, and if I now run k9s, because I do allow workloads to be scheduled on my control planes in this cluster. If I open up k9s, and if I, let's see if we can check this process in real time. So we can already see that a few pods have come up for these a few seconds ago, but as it starts draining the next one, we should see a few other pods being rescheduled. So let's see, which one is it going to do next? Here we go. Here we see a bunch of pods being rescheduled. They're all age 4 or 5 seconds now. So we see some of my Cloudflare tunnels. My paperless has been rescheduled. Miniflux, N8N, all of this stuff has now been rescheduled and is being put on a different node. And when everything is then rescheduled and online, then it will simply download the new image on that node, restart it, and that is how it's very easily just going through everything one by one by one and doing the update completely automatically for me. You might also be wondering, how is it that I'm able to connect to my cluster using kubectl when I'm not even at home? Because all of this, what you're seeing now, is running as servers in my apartment back home in the Netherlands, and I am here in Norway in a cabin. So how is it that I'm actually able to communicate with those clusters at all? Now, the way this works is that when you create a Sidero Omni instance, then what you get an API endpoint. So what happens is you create an Omni instance and then you load machines into there. So I have multiple machines here. What you do is from Omni you generate an image, and then this image contains a join token, and when you then boot up that image, it then talks to the Omni API saying, hello, I'm a new machine, I'm waiting to be joined to a new cluster. The machine will show up here, and then you can gather those up and form those into a cluster. Now, when a cluster is created from these machines, then you get this API endpoint to talk to. So my kubeconfig file, which I cannot share, but my kubeconfig file actually contains this URL. So it will talk to that API endpoint, and then Omni is going to forward the requests to the actual Kube API server. So I'm never even talking to my own network. It is all talking to the API that Sidero Omni provides for me. So if you like what you see so far, and if you're into advanced home labbing and all that kind of stuff, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. About 78% of my viewers for some reason are not subscribed, but they keep returning and watching these videos. So check out the button below this video. It should say subscribed. If it doesn't say subscribed, then please click the button subscribe. It's a completely free way to support the channel. It means a lot to me because it allows me to make more and more of these videos even while I'm on the road like this. Thank you so much for subscribing. Now back to the video. And as we see now, Omni has moved on to the final node of the cluster, which is the actual worker node. And we will see that it is now being cordoned and it's going to be drained. So if I check out K9S again, we should see that a lot of pods are now being moved around and rescheduled. And here we go, we see a few pods on 49 seconds, which are now rescheduled and need to restart on a different node. So you can see how smooth all of this is going. All I had to do was just click one button and it's going to update the operating system of all of my nodes. Now, this is an important nuance. It's actually updating the operating system, right? It is not updating Kubernetes yet, it's just updating the operating system. Now what I like about this is that I have no responsibility for managing a Linux server anymore. So if you are running your Kubernetes clusters with K3s or kubeadm or something like that, essentially you're spinning up Linux machines using Ubuntu or whatever, and then you're installing Kubernetes on there, maybe using a single binary like K3s, but then you still have the responsibility of updating the actual Linux server all the time. Now with this, I'm also updating the Linux server, but I'm updating the whole thing in one go. And if something goes wrong, I can roll back super easily. So yes, in some ways I still have that responsibility, but Sidero basically does that for me by releasing a new Talos version, okay? And that is what has now been updated. So now my cluster is fully updated to Talos version 1.12.10. Let's now perform a Kubernetes upgrade. So I click this, and then the latest available version to me is 135.7. So as you see, I've been a bit sloppy and I have not been keeping up with my Homelab updates recently. So that's what I'm bettering my life and fixing now. So first I need to update to 135.7. If I want to go higher, then it requires me to update to Talos 113. So first we're gonna just upgrade this. And it's one by one, again, it's going to go through the nodes and then update the Kubernetes version on there. Now this one usually doesn't require a drain actually. Now I should also say that this video is not sponsored by Sidero or whatever. I am friends with Justin Garrison, and hey Justin, if you're watching this, I know a few people at Sidero, but I'm just making this video because I've been using this product for years already. And I just think it's really handy, and I just want to show you how I do it. Because one of the reasons why I do it is precisely because I often am on the road and I still want to be able to manage my stuff like this. Now I could just set up a connection with Tailscale, for example, and just do everything over SSH. But you can see how easy it is just to have a nice UI to manage this stuff from. And like in the beginning, like when I teach my private mentoring students, they are not using Talos, obviously, because then you won't learn. So in the beginning, you have to do it the proper way, to manage everything yourself, because that's how you learn. But as you become more senior and as you become more interested in just having a stable setup going that you can easily update and manage, then something like Sidero Omni really is attractive. So this is why I chose this, and I've been running this this particular cluster has been running for almost a year already. But Omni I think I'm using for almost 2 years now already. It's really good. All right, so now my cluster is on Kubernetes version 135.7, and if I want to go higher than that, I first have to upgrade the Talos version again. And again, this is just going to be super easy. I just go to the Talos version, and since I'm now on the latest version of 1.12, I can now go straight to 1.13.7, and I click upgrade, and it's going to upgrade the node operating system one by one, And when that is done, I can then upgrade my Kubernetes clusters, the actual version of the Kubernetes cluster itself. So if you're watching this and you're thinking, wow, this is really advanced stuff, and how do I even begin with making a Kubernetes Homelab? Well, check out the link in the description below. I have a free Kubernetes Homelab guide that you can get completely for free. Just go to the link and fill out your details and it will send it directly to you. It was a full guide to get started on your first Kubernetes Homelab cluster. But then the final question is, should you also be using this, right? And let me just grab the camera and get some sunlight while I answer this question. So let's go out into the beautiful Norwegian weather here, and I can share a few thoughts on should you actually be using this. Well, obviously, if you are a beginner, then my answer is a hard no. Do not even think about using Talos. It is a really cool option, but it is not going to do your career any good if you just jump straight into using Talos. It's much better to begin with something that is more manual so you learn more. The second reason is that it actually makes you a bit lazy. Like, I've been running these clusters for a few years now. I know what I'm doing and I don't need to get more practice in upgrading and managing clusters. But this is so automated and it works so well that I have noticed that it's even like atrophying my skills a little bit. So it's something that you have to be very careful with here. So with all that being said, I don't recommend using Talos, especially if you are in the beginning of your journey. If you are in the beginning of your journey and you want to learn Kubernetes, how to build a Kubernetes Homelab, how to do all of that properly, I do this for a living. I help people land DevOps jobs through my proprietary method of using Kubernetes Homelabs as evidence for skills to land jobs, and it's working really well. About once or twice a week we get messages from our students that land DevOps jobs all over the world, even in America. So the method works extremely well. So if you're interested in landing a DevOps job, check out the link below. I would love to welcome you as a private student in KubeCraft. Okay, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.